Washington Otis removed the bloodstain in the library every day. Every morning, the stain had reappeared. But the stain was no longer the colour of blood. One morning it was brown, another morning it was purple, then it became bright green. The Otises laughed at the bloodstain. They looked for it every morning before breakfast. "What colour is it today?" asked Washington Otis. "It's green!" shouted the twins. "It's green blood today!" They laughed at the green bloodstain on the library floor. Virginia Otis did not laugh. The young girl was silent at breakfast. The bloodstain made her feel sad, and she almost cried when she saw the bright green stain. She was sure that the ghost put the stain on the floor. She felt sorry for the ghost. "The stain has been here for 300 years, said Virginia. "We have been here for 3 weeks. The poor ghost puts the stain on the floor every night. Can't you leave the stain there?" But the others did not listen to Virginia. The second appearance of the ghost was on a Sunday night. The Otises had all gone to bed. Suddenly they were woken up. They heard a terrible crashing noise downstairs. The whole family ran out of their bedrooms. They ran downstairs. It was dark, but Mr. Otis and his eldest son carried candles. They heard another crashing noise in the hallway near the front door. There was a suit of armour in the hallway. This suit of armour was more than 300 years old. It had fallen over and made a loud noise. The Canterville ghost was sitting on the floor next to the armour. The ghost had tried to put on the suit of armour. He wanted to walk around the house and frighten the Otis family, but the metal suit was too heavy. The suit of armour had fallen onto the floor. The Canterville ghost was sitting beside the armour. He was rubbing his knee. He had hurt himself. Mr. Hiram B. Otis pointed a gun at the ghost. Washington Otis held his candle high in the air. The Otis twins laughed loudly. Virginia was afraid and stood beside her mother. They all looked at the Canterville ghost. The ghost was very angry. He stood up and gave a loud shout. He blew out the candle in Washington Otis's hand. There was no light in the hall. Then the ghost ran up the stairs in the darkness. He stopped at the top of the stairs and laughed. He had a frightening laugh. Men's hair had turned grey when they heard him laugh. But the Otises were not afraid. "Are you in pain?" asked Mrs. Otis. "I have a bottle of Dr. Dobell's medicine. It's good for stomach aches and headaches. Please take the medicine." The ghost looked at Mrs. Otis angrily. Then he disappeared in a green cloud and went back to his secret room. He was very unhappy. He had tried to put on the suit of armour, but it was too heavy. The armour had fallen over, and the ghost had hurt his leg. The ghost stayed in his room during the day. He came out at night to visit the library. He repainted the bloodstain every night. And every morning, Washington Otis removed the bloodstain with Pinkerton's stain remover. But the ghost had a problem. He had quickly finished all his red paint. Now his brown and purple paints were finished as well. So sometimes he painted the bloodstain green, sometimes blue. The ghost made plans. He wanted to frighten the Otis twins. He planned to visit the twins in the night. He planned to turn himself green and make a horrible noise. He planned to visit the twins in their bedroom. He planned to touch them with his ice-cold hands in the dark. He left his secret room at midnight. The house was dark. He climbed the stairs and walked along the corridor. The twins' bedroom was at the end of the corridor, round a corner. He turned the corner. Suddenly, he stopped. In front of him was a round face with a terrible mouth and burning eyes. Fire shone out of the mouth and eyes of this horrible face. It was the face of a ghost. The Canterville ghost gave a shout and ran back to his secret room. He had never seen a ghost before and felt very frightened. Before daylight came, the Canterville ghost felt better. Were there 2 ghosts in the house? He must find out. He must meet the second ghost. He went back upstairs and walked along the corridor towards the twins' room. The second ghost was still there, but its eyes were no longer burning. He went up to it. He touched it. The head of the second ghost fell onto the floor. It was not a ghost at all. It was a head made from a large, round vegetable called a pumpkin. The twins had put a candle inside it. There was a card on the floor. The Otis ghost, the only true Canterville ghost. The twins had put the head in the corridor to frighten him. This made the Canterville ghost very angry. What could he do? He could think of nothing at that moment, so he went back to his room. The ghost felt very weak and tired. He stayed in his room for 5 days. He did not repaint the bloodstain in the library. There had been a bloodstain on the library floor for 300 years. Now the library floor was clean. After a week, the ghost felt better. He decided to try once more to frighten the Otis twins. He planned to make his face look as horrible as possible. He waited until the middle of the night. Slowly and silently, he walked to the twins' bedroom. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. The house was quiet. The door of the twins' room was slightly open. The ghost took off his head and carried it under his arm. It is terrifying to see a headless ghost. He wanted to terrify the twins. He pushed open the door of the twins' bedroom. The door banged against the wall. He had planned to shout and hold his head in his hands, but a heavy jug of water fell from the top of the door. The twins had played a trick on him. He was soaked with water. The twins shouted and laughed. The ghost ran back down the corridor. He could not frighten the twins. He could not frighten anyone in the Otis family. Washington Otis came out of his bedroom. The ghost stopped running. Behind him, the twins ran down the corridor. They shouted, "Boo!" in his ears and waved their arms. Washington Otis laughed at him. The ghost did not know what to do. He ran through the nearest door, went back to the secret room, and lay down. He could not frighten anyone. He was a very unhappy ghost.